Emotional royal ceremony. Princess Leonor marries live from Denmark. Everyone thought they knew how Princess Leonor's royal journey would unfold. A slow, careful path, shaped by protocol, duty, and the future crown of Spain. But today, everything the world expected has been completely overturned. Because in a moment no one saw coming, Princess Leonor is standing at the altar in Denmark, wearing a gown that has brought millions to tears. And the surprise isn't the wedding itself. It's the truth behind it, something deeper, rawer, and more emotional than any royal watcher imagined. Because what the cameras are capturing today isn't just a ceremony. It's a once-in-a-generation turning point for two countries, two families, and one future queen who finally followed her heart. People thought this day would be distant, wrapped in years of preparation. They assumed Leonor would take her throne first, prove herself, and then, only then, marry. But no, she chose love now. She chose a man who waited for her quietly, patiently, far away from the spotlight. She chose a path that even shocked senior royals from Spain to Denmark. And the moment that truth becomes clear, the entire world begins asking the same question: what happened behind the scenes that led to this emotional royal ceremony, streamed live across continents, shaking Europe to its core? To understand that, we need to go behind the smiles, behind the tiaras, behind the polished perfection. Because this wedding did not begin with the sound of church bells. It began with private conversations, hidden pressure, and a young future queen who spent years balancing the weight of a nation with the desire to live a real human life. As the broadcast begins, Denmark is glowing in soft morning light. The historic stone walls of the cathedral are wrapped in white roses and Spanish red carnations, hand-selected because they symbolize unity and endurance. A symbolic choice that royal insiders say wasn't made by planners but by Leonor herself. And the moment she steps out of the royal car, the crowd gasps. Her gown isn't traditional Spanish embroidery, nor is it fully Danish in design. It blends both cultures, as if the dress itself is telling the world, I am the bridge now. I am the future of two royal houses. Immediately, the cameras catch her father, King Felipe VI. And the look on his face, tender, emotional, overwhelmed, is what sends the internet into a frenzy. Because this is the same king who, for years, has taught his daughter how to navigate the harsh reality of monarchy. He guided her through the military academies, through public duties, through the intense scrutiny of being Europe's youngest future queen. And today, he is watching her step into an entirely new life. Not as the crown princess, but as a woman who made her own choice. What no one expected was how emotional Felipe would be. Royal commentators whisper that he had tried to hide his tears at rehearsal. That even Queen Letizia kept touching his hand gently, grounding him. Because this isn't just a royal wedding. It's a symbolic release. A moment where the king must let go of his daughter, even as Spain still leans heavily on her future. As Leonor walks closer to the cathedral entrance, Prince Christian waits inside, composed, elegant, but clearly fighting to stay calm. For years, he and Leonor moved quietly, away from headlines, away from gossip. They built a relationship on rare moments, messages, late-night calls across borders. A relationship that, according to insiders, might never have survived if they weren't both raised with a deep understanding of duty. But today, duty bends to love. The doors close behind her. A hush falls over the cathedral. And then the music shifts. A Spanish choir begins singing softly, joined by a Danish ensemble, creating a sound so delicate and emotional that even the guests begin wiping tears. Here begins the ceremony millions will replay for decades. Christian takes a step forward, and the world sees it, the moment he locks eyes with Leonor. Their faces shift instantly, relief, joy, disbelief that it's finally happening. A photographer later describes it as the look of two people who survived pressure no ordinary couple could understand. As the officiant begins, the camera pans across the families. Queen Margrethe looks proud, yet thoughtful. Queen Letizia appears serene, but observant. Princess Sophia, Leonor's sister, seems to be holding back tears. People forget how close the sisters are, how Sophia has always been Leonor's anchor. Today, her face shows it. But the moment that sends shockwaves across Spain appears halfway through the vows. As Leonor begins speaking, her voice trembles, not out of fear, but emotion. And the camera catches King Felipe wiping his face. A single tear, then another, and another. He is no longer the strict monarch or the responsible guardian of Spain's future. He is a father overwhelmed by pride, nostalgia, and the fear of what the world will now demand of his daughter. For a few seconds, the entire cathedral seems to breathe with him. And here is where the story deepens. Because while the ceremony is beautiful, what makes it profoundly emotional is the undercurrent of what the world never knew. That months before this wedding, Leonor faced enormous political pressure not to marry now. Advisors believed Spain needed stability, continuity, and focus. They believed her marriage could wait. But Leonor insisted on living her life as a whole person, not just a symbol. This is where the curiosity loops begin. Why did she push so hard? Why now? What were the conversations between her and her parents? Between the Spanish and Danish courts? Why were multiple meetings held behind closed doors? Why did Queen Letizia reportedly step in at a crucial moment to support her daughter's decision? Every answer opens another door. Insiders reveal that Leonor was afraid Christian would be forced into a life of waiting, uncertain, undefined, and restricted. She didn't want their relationship to exist, in pauses, as she reportedly phrased it to a confidant. She wanted a foundation, a stable core, a shared life that could survive the weight of two nations watching them. And so, she made the boldest decision of her royal life. To marry now, as a woman, as a partner, as someone who refuses to delay love for politics. Back in the cathedral, the vows continue. Christian speaks now, and the emotion in his voice surprises everyone. It's raw, honest, vulnerable. A future king admitting he waited years for this moment, waited for her. That he knew from the beginning she would be worth every silent season, every moment of uncertainty, every sacrifice. When the officiant finally announces them husband and wife, the atmosphere breaks into applause, grand, thunderous, absolutely electrifying. Spain cheers. Denmark cheers. Social media erupts globally. But inside the cathedral, something else happens. King Felipe steps forward and embraces his daughter, tightly, emotionally, with a softness he rarely shows publicly. And Christian bows his head slightly, a respectful sign that moves the king even more. This is not just a union of hearts. It is a union of futures. As they walk out of the cathedral, the bells ring across Copenhagen. The crowds roar with joy. Confetti floats through the air, blending red and white, Spain and Denmark. And Leonor looks radiant, but also relieved. Because she finally steps into the life she had fought for. Now the world begins asking new questions. What does this marriage mean for Spain? How will Leonor balance her role as a wife and a future queen? How will the royal houses navigate the political implications of this union? What agreements were made behind the scenes? What sacrifices were quietly accepted? And perhaps the biggest question of all, what will this new royal era look like, with two future monarchs joined not by arrangement but by genuine love? As the carriage begins its slow procession through the Danish streets, the couple waves, smiling, glowing. Christian whispers something to Leonor that makes her laugh. And that moment becomes the photograph of the day, a candid capture of two young royals who managed to protect their relationship against unimaginable pressure. Behind them, King Felipe and Queen Letizia wave to the crowds, standing united despite the emotional weight of the day. Felipe's eyes are red, but his smile is proud. Because he knows this, Spain has not lost a princess. Spain has gained a stronger future queen, one who understands that love and duty can coexist, even when the world says otherwise. As the ceremony fades into celebration and the world continues reacting in real time, one truth becomes undeniable: this wedding will be remembered not just for its beauty, but for its courage. It marks the beginning of a new chapter for Europe's royal history. And at the center of it stands Princess Leonor, no longer just the dutiful heir, but a woman who changed the expectations of a continent by choosing her heart first. And that is why today, live from Denmark, the world watches not just a royal union but the rebirth of a destiny.